Let's go to the Pope's opening address. This is the address that sets the tone for the whole month. Why don't we listen to a bit of it first?
This Synod has the opportunity and the duty to be a sign of a church that is ready to listen, that is prepared to allow itself to be challenged, that doesn't always have a ready-made answer. A church that doesn't listen is closed to the surprises that God may send, and cannot be considered credible by young people who inevitably will distance themselves from her instead of coming closer.
The Pope makes reference to listening. Sebastian, what does the Pope mean by that word listening? When he says listening, what does it mean?
Well, it's starting to be, we've heard this a lot, I should say, from Pope Francis. The speech that he gives at the beginning of a synod and at the end of the synod are some of the most highly anticipated moments at a synod. For the most part, in between, the month in between, he doesn't say much. He's there every day listening. He models listening.
Yes.
He doesn't,
it's true.
But he kind of bookends the synods. But in this particular speech on the opening day on Wednesday, we heard the similar things to what he said at previous synods that he's facilitated, which is speak boldly, speak with courage, speak your mind, speak what's really in your heart, and listen humbly. And it's those two things working together that I think that he really wants to emphasize. And at this moment in time, I think he knows that the church needs to be a listening church first. It can't just be a speaking church and a teaching church, presuming that everybody out there should just be quiet and listen to us and take, accept everything that we say. It's more, what is the reality? Let's listen to what's happening in the world. Let's listen to what's happening in young people's lives. And then once we hear that and feel that, we'll be able to respond to it more appropriately.
Yeah, I'm curious though, because I actually struggle with this, and I've had conversations with young people who say, well, the church doesn't listen to me. And I want to know, well, what does that look, how will you know that the church is listening to me? So Father Matt, what does it mean? What would it mean? What would that church look like? Sebastian gave us a little bit of an example, but what does it mean that the church needs to be a listening church?
No, I think it's a really interesting dialogue to have in terms of listening and speaking. And when you look at the church as a listener, it's not simply sitting up on high and proclaiming down to people as if we know what's going on and you don't. It's this moment in which the church is saying, well, I bet you have something to say as well.
Right.
And that doesn't mean we just accept everything from everyone and it's free for all.
Yeah, or change everything just because we listened.
But what it does mean is we have all these people across the entire world, across thousands of years, who have had opinions and ideas and have had experiences of what it really means to have faith and to be our church. And I think we're getting to the point of saying, well, I think there's something to what you've experienced. I think there's something to what you believe and how you feel about this. And so if we come together and we have this listening going on, I think really it provides this greater sense from within the church and outside of it that, well, it's not just us versus you, it's not on high versus down low, but we're in this together.
Right.
And I think the Pope he's speaking at levels here. Like when he gives important addresses, it's always, he's not just speaking to the people in the room. Yes, he is speaking to the people in the room, saying, we have to model this, we have to do this, we have to accept this. But he's also saying in the larger context, this is who we are as a church.
Right.
We are a listening church. We are a synodal church. So if we can, this little month-long thing is an example for the rest of the church to say this is part of our identity.
Yeah.
That fact that we can sit in this room with people from all over the world with all these different opinions, as Father Matt said, and listen and do that. And not only that, the third level is a model for the world. The church is called to to serve the world, to try to improve the world, to try to infuse the world with the flavor of the gospel. And as a discerning church, we can model what a whole bunch of different experiences and opinions looks like, but still maintain unity.
It's interesting because I was going to ask you about discernment, because he also spoke about discernment, but I suppose discernment and listening go together. You can't have one without the other.
Right.
Do you think that listening means that we have to be, doesn't mean we have to change, but do we have to be open to change?
Well, the Pope said that.
Yeah.
He said part of listening in his speech is are you willing to change your mind?
Yes.
And that's really, we know this from scripture scholarship, Bible study and stuff, that the word conversion actually means to change your mind or change the way you think. So from a biblical standpoint, when the apostles are talking about that, when Peter mentions that at Pentecost, telling people change. Now that you've experienced the change, that's part of being open to the Spirit. And I think that's what Francis is talking about when he's talking about discernment.
Okay, we need to move on. We could spend a lot more time talking about the Pope's address.
And if you haven't,
it's available.
Read it on our blog.
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
It's available on our blog. You can saltandlighttv.org.